Hi, good evening. Welcome to Mike at Night. This is the first time we are running at 8 o'clock. I hope that many of you are still awake so that you could join us for this great occasion. This is Mike at Night. We appear on Thursdays and we are now at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Yeah, because we have some people who join us. Sometimes they are out of the country in UK, etc. And they say that sometimes that's morning time after midnight. So let's see if we could accommodate some people. Let's see if that is going to work for others, right? So it is now just about 1 minute after the hour of 8. Let me welcome those of you who have joined us so far. As you know, the topic tonight is things to avoid after being caught cheating. A very interesting topic. And for those who may think that I am promoting cheating, it has nothing to do with promoting cheating. But whether or not you want to accept it, a number of people get into a situation where either they cheat or they are cheated on. So we might as well know how to be able to deal with it. So this just tries to deal with it from the standpoint of what to avoid doing if or when that happens. That's where we're going to go. And that's where we want your input. And if you do wish to call in and be part of the program, you can give us a telephone call at 868 688 5363. Let me read that again. Let me call that out again. 868 688 5363. That's the telephone number, and we could put you through live and hear your thoughts on the topic. Things to avoid after being caught cheating. I wonder how many of you have had a relationship where the person has cheated on you, or whether you have been in a relationship where you have cheated on somebody. And don't think that because you are Holy Ghost filled and you are godly and Christian, that it doesn't happen to you, or you yourself have not done it. Right? So it is something that a number of people are vulnerable to. Let's take a break and we come back. We get into the topic. I'm Michael Stewart.
Don't let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
Hey, if you are having difficulty in your marriage or in your relationship and you need someone to speak with privately and confidentially, then call me, Michael Stewart. We can do face-to-face or virtually any part of the world. If your relationship is worth saving, call 868-688-5363 or go to my website www.michaelstewart.com. Don't wait until it's too late. Get counseling. Yes, and there's a program that we have called Let's Rewire Your Brain, because a number of people, their thinking is what is setting them up. And somebody said it's an inside job. So we have a program coming up that is going to cause you to rewire the way how you think, the way you process life, and the way how you go through the habits that you have. That program is on the 5th of November. So consider registering for it by going on to the website www.michaelstewart.com. There's also the other program that we have on the 12th. On the 12th, we have the program that we're talking about the psychological impact of being single for too long. We're going to encourage a number of single people to register for that, because it's going to be quite an interesting discussion that we're going to have. That is on the 5th. Also, you go to www.michaelstewart.com. The prices are on the flyer. And if you have any problem, any challenge, or any question that you may have, you may call us at 868-688-5363. Both of these programs and most of our programs are virtual programs. So any part of the world you are, you can afford to be part of that. Yes. All right. So we talking about the things to avoid after being caught cheating. Somebody said that it's not if cheating is going to take place in a relationship, it's when. Well, I don't know. I just repeating what they said. Somebody else said that you cannot stop cheating. You can only delay it. Philosophers. Good evening to those who have joined us. Caroline Garraway, good evening to you. Elon Gordon, Alice John, good evening. Sharon, I hope that everything is going good with you. I haven't seen you in a long while. John Matthew, yes, good to have you all on this evening. All right. So there are some issues when it comes down to relationships and some of the things that take place in relationships. We want to talk about that tonight, and we want to encourage you to give us a call at 868-688-5363. I know that there are a number of people might be looking to join us for 9 o'clock, even though we sent out the flyer, repeated that it is at 8 o'clock. There are people who would not read the entire flyer. They'll only read the topic, and they'll be joining us most likely for the next couple of weeks. We will be more joining us for 9 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock. But we're going to wait for them when we log on to tell them that they need to learn to read them business. All right, Monica, good evening. Good to have you with us also. All right, so we have some videos lined up, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to play the videos because, you know, sometimes on Facebook, the music might be muted. But it talks about these songs that I'm going to show you. It talks about what we tend to do whenever there's cheating and we are found out, or people are found out cheating. And what we should not do is actually in the song. And we're going to now address some of those things that you should be avoiding. But let's go to the first song first, and then we come back and we deal with it. Let's hope that they are able to allow us to play it out.
Maggie darling, sugar dumpling, don't get so mad. Please let me explain. Oh baby, do darling, sugar dumpling, girl don't get so mad. Please let me explain. I'm telling you the truth. If you see me with some woman, I don't want you to misunderstand. Whatever you might see me do, know my love is true. I'm not being unfaithful to you. The woman you catch me with in the bed, running in, have no place to rest your head. Business closed down, she lost her work. Disappointed, suffering from shock. I only take she home so to relax and chat she up. You know how them things go. I'm exhausted, she said to me. Sparrow was so tired and so sleepy. Casually she sat on the bed and asked me to massage her leg. That's all, that is all, that is all. Oh come baby.
All right. That is the mighty sparrow. The mighty sparrow here giving the lying excuses for his infidelity in song. Now, we may think it is jocular, but really these are some of the things that we actually go through. So we're going to, hopefully we'll be able to get our next verse, the song in a bit later on. So let's talk about that. So according to this researcher, this is a gentleman who counsels people, and he has had meetings, so many focus groups and so on, and has written an article, Rick Reynolds. So this is not coming from me. This is coming from Rick Reynolds. But I subscribe and I support the findings that he found, because as a counselor myself, somebody who sits and advise people, do life coaching, I found that it was so apt, so appropriate. And so what he's saying is that when he speaks to couples, there are things that when the cheater is found out, there are things that the cheater does that does not help the mending of the relationship. And sometimes the relationship goes into greater crisis by the way it is managed and by the things that the person does. When there might be time that the relationship has opportunity for healing, the person goes AWOL. They start to do things that are inimical to the successful resolution of the relationship. And that's what we're trying to help people with, because sometimes, yes, there are things that happen in the relationship, things go bad, and unfaithfulness may take place, but it does not have to go sour where the relationship becomes toxic. There is healing and there are opportunities that could arise out of it. And what this gentleman is saying, Rick Reynolds is saying, avoid these things. And I would select 7 of them. Number 1, avoid the breakup makeup cycle. This breakup makeup cycle is that, you plan to break up and to stop the infidelity. Try to stop what you are doing. But it is so enticing. It is so alluring that the person who's cheating, even though they are being caught, try to take it underground even more, or try to continue doing it even though they have been caught. They make up their mind to stop and then they go right back. Sometimes they just see the person, sometimes because the relationship still has emotional ties, or one may consider to end it and the other person has not discharged themselves from the relationship as yet. So it is an on and off, on and off. And he says, avoid that makeup and breakup situation. The way I look at it is in this way. A great warrior, soldier, went to fight. And when he landed on the island, he looked back at the ship that he brought his soldiers to the island to fight. And he asked the soldiers to look back and tell me what you see. When they looked back, the ship was on fire. He said, I set it on fire. I set it on fire so that you all would know there's no turning back. There's no way you can come off this island. You've got to win this war. I understand they won the war because they now knew there was no second option. There's no plan B. There's no surrendering. There's no running back off the island into a ship and sail away. Sometimes in a relationship, when you have been in the relationship, and many times a person would not leave of their own volition, but when you are caught, the only way to prevent the breakup makeup is to burn the ship, is to really just cut ties. So some would have said, but we could still be friends, we could still be buddies, we could still be confidants. No. According to what Rick Reynolds says, you got to burn the ship because it's not going to work otherwise. So if I'm talking to some people out there, Joanne says, once a cheater, always a cheater. Do you all really believe that? Joanne, I'm not too sure I support Joanne with that. Once a cheater, all a cheater. And I'm sure that there are people who used to cheat, who have stopped cheating. I've met many of the people who confess that they used to cheat and said that they have surrendered, that they no longer do it. Right? So let me hear your feedback on Joanne's position. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Is that a valid position? Is that true? Joanne saying just a saying is not a fact. Okay. All right. Yes. Joanne say, yeah. I have met people who claim. Charmaine says, no not necessarily. You don't have to continue cheating. And the people will tell you that there are some people who would admit that they used to cheat so much before, and then some of them got in contact with Christ, they transformed their life, and some of them did not even come in contact with Christ. They just decide they are giving it up because it has caused so much damage in the relationship, etc. Sydney said, many twice a cheater, always, maybe twice a cheater, always a cheater. All right, that's it. He said, if you're doing it twice, then you're always cheating. I think that is what he's saying. All right. So if you're practicing it, then you're going to continue to be in a cheater. But if it is something that you're really trying to stop, you don't have to be. Yeah. Share the live, people. Send it to others so that they'll know that we are on. There are some people planning to come on at 9 o'clock. We are not on at 9. We are on at 8 o'clock and running till 9 o'clock. So let them know that. Okay. So I hope you got that first point. That first point is avoid the breakup makeup cycle, where that cycle just runs over and over again. You give it up, you go back. You stop 2-3 weeks and you miss the person, you go straight back into the relationship. Denial, denial, denial. Prepare yourself. Yeah. All right. Number 2, to avoid holding back the whole truth. Avoid holding back the whole truth. You've been caught. You see, what the temptation is to lie your way out so that it does not sound as bad. The difficulty with that is that you may find that new information surface, and let's say you say that, oh no, it was just once it happened, and then you find out that the thing might have been going on for 5 years. Well, how are you going to explain that? Doesn't that create a distrust? What else is he or she hiding? What else did they not come clean with? And there's no relationship that can successfully exist in in intimacy relationship when trust is gone. So you must come with the whole truth. Rick Reynolds says, don't hold it back. Just come clean. You've been caught, lay down. Now, of course, there are consequences because some people try to salvage the relationship by not saying everything. Well, as long as the person is asking you the questions, lying at that point in time is not going to be in anybody's interest. So you might as well just let them know what are the facts. Because when you reveal the information and they think that you have been clear and upfront with it, many times the person is willing to forgive. Many times the person is hurt, yes, but they're willing to give it another chance. It is the constant, consistent, repetitious lies that most people cannot take. And let me tell you how easy it is that you'll be caught in that. Especially if it is the man who cheated and the woman is the one seeking the truth. She's going to come over and over again to ask you the same question in a different way over a period of time. And buffoons like us, men, we can't remember everything we said the last time if we're lying. But if we're telling the truth, then of course, we don't have to search for it. We just say the truth every time. Because the average woman would not just let this die with one sit down and you apologize and then you move forward. It is going to come up again and again and again. And more information will slip out your mouth. You'll explain something differently. We only went to the hotel and then now they come back and you say something else. You call a different hotel, a different place. And bam, you know a lot of hot waters. Yes, share the live, people. Share the live. We are on and we asking you to bring your friends on. We are talking a very important topic here this evening. Right. So come clean. Come clean. You've been caught already. So you're already in the fire. Yes, the person may carry on. Yes, the person may not take the information right or properly. So you might try to avoid all of that. But it is worse if after they have been hurt with the first set of information, your second and third set of information becomes increasingly more damning. So just lay everything down. Once they are asking you just get it up front. If you have to lose the relationship, it may be something that you may need to do. But at least you would have dealt with the thing in a complete sense. Right? So, and as I said, don't give. I'm not talking about going and dig up a set of unnecessary things and relationships that you had before and you stopped and all of that and so on. Whatever it is that is being dealt with at the time and that situation and the questions that are coming at you, just be forthright and honest with answering those questions. Right? So give me your feedback on the Facebook as we're going along. I would be interested to hear what you're saying. Charmin is asking, what about those who came clean, but the other don't believe, but you lie and they swallow that like a pill? Well, interesting enough, that is so true. That sometimes when you're telling the truth, they don't abide by the truth. But if you have to tell a lie, then they would settle for that. You see, and that happens sometimes that you are pressed to lie because that's the only thing that they'll take. Yeah. So, but just stand for the truth. Just stand for the truth. Just hold your integrity and stand for the truth. And I believe, and I have seen many times that the person swallows the pain because the love is still there and they are willing to still continue. Yeah. Sometimes it is not as easy as I'm now mentioning it. So I don't want you to think that it is being trivialized here. It is a difficult situation, but it is something that can be conquered. Our company, my company, assists people in going through many of these situations. And if people need private counseling and need help with as couples going through this, then they are free to call. The same number that you see on the screen is the number you call, 868-688-5363. Post your questions, people. Let me see what you have to say. Let me see what your feedback is. Share the live. There are some people who think we're on at 9. They're going to get shocked that we're not on at 9. Share the live, people. Okay, so Cecil Millington says, so why can't the woman ask a question once and leave it there? Why twist the question in another form? Well, as we will see later on, as to one of the things is that it is not in generally is not in a woman's nature, according to Rick Reynolds, and which I support, to be hurting on something and close it off with one discussion. Another situation is going to come up. Another event may not even be an event between the two same people, might be an event within another couple, and it would remind the woman about it, and she may very well raise the issue again. But Rick Reynolds is saying, regardless of if she raises it again, be prepared to sit down and go through it one more time. Again. Yeah? Bring her to the point that she's okay, that you are coming clean, and that you are giving credence to what she is hurting about and the problems that she is going through. And sometimes it is even the man also may raise the issue because the woman may have been the one who has been unfaithful. And he has questions, and here's some of the questions that people usually ask. And let us put some limits on some of those questions. How many times you all had sex? Where did you all have sex? What did you all do during sex? And want graphic details about it. I'm not too sure what kind of fodder that is going to feed a fire of anger, but I'm sure that certainly enough information can be shared that the person would let you know that you are upfront and I'm trying to come clean with you, and I'm trying to make sure that we get this thing resolved as much as possible if it is possible to be resolved. But of course, if the person wants to leave, that's still an option open to that person. Right. So I'm saying to Cecile, it's just not in a woman's nature to just drop it right there. She's gonna come again. She's gonna come again. And then of course, you know that sometimes um your spouse who has been the aggrieved one, the one who has been the victim of this infidelity, when they are angry with indiscretion, they may very well throw it at you in a very hurtful way. Just brace yourself for that. Don't make that throw you off of your objective to show penitence and to show that you want to really restore this thing. Okay? So that is it. I'll give you one more and then we're going to take another one of the music. And the first one we gave you was Sparrow. We might have some other voices to bring from him. But the second one is where it's a very interesting song that was also a denial, something that you don't do. It's not me, is the song. Wasn't me. You just denied down to the ground. You denied regardless of what evidence you bring. They say, no, not me. I wasn't there. I don't know the person, or we never did it. Even though they're lying through their teeth. That's one of the things you don't do. Right. All right. Who deal with cheating better, male or female? Elon asks. Will you answer Elon there for me, please, in the meanwhile? Elon wants to know who deals with cheating better, who recovers better, and who is able to surf the wave of infidelity better, a man or a woman? That is Elon. I know where Elon going with that. All right, and I know that we have our poll that is up. We have our usual weekly poll that is going to be up. Josan say a woman deals with infidelity better. Charmin says females. Yes, that's interesting. You all answer there for me, please. Who deals with cheating better? Who is able to better manage cheating? A man or woman, male or female? So you all go ahead and answer in the meanwhile. Let's take this next song in the meanwhile. When we posted the topic earlier on, a number of guys on Facebook shared that, and some of them said it in jest, I'm sure, that deny it, regardless, even if you are caught in the very act, deny it. Yeah? Do you think so? All right. So it seems as though people think that women manage better infidelity than men. I will tend to go with what people are saying. Men tend to go berserk to the point of not only committing murder, homicide, but also going ahead after that and committing suicide. Whereas women generally go into depression, they cry, they do a number of things, but they seem to have resilience and bounce back and still willing to, once there is change in the guy, to give the relationship another chance. I don't think men really have been demonstrating that they have the ability. They haven't been just demonstrating the capacity to be in a relationship where infidelity has taken place, and they are the victims as the men, and then get back into the relationship and run along and restore it. So I tend to support those who said the females do it better. All right, so we saying what to avoid if caught in unfaithfulness, caught cheating. Number one, we said avoid the breakup, makeup cycle, coming in, going out, stopping the relationship, starting back, and letting it drag on and drag on and drag on. Yes. Second, avoid holding back the whole truth by giving pieces of lies and deceit in between and trying to pacify the thing and so on. Some at that point in time, I guess you just have to come clean. Either they'll be able to handle it or not, says Mr. Rick Reynolds, who is the person whose study we're using tonight. Either they could be able to handle it or they can't. If they can't, they can't. If they can, well, fine, and work with what you can get them. So he says, tell the whole truth as soon as you can. Now, there's also another question. What if the person never caught you in infidelity, but your conscience bother you and you want to stop? Should you tell the person, I was in this thing, when they never suspected? Should you tell them and clear your conscience or not? Yeah. Okay. Apparently, there are some discussions I'm not seeing, but I saw that discussion that the person said that I'm not seeing. But it's on YouTube apparently. I wonder if the person could join us on Facebook. I'll try to get it on the YouTube. All right. Okay. In the meanwhile, while I'm trying to pull it up on YouTube, because it mostly shows the information on Facebook. All right. So I'm on to YouTube. Yes. So I'm seeing Joni saying, because we are women, but I'm not too sure at which point she made that statement. Why ask those deep questions? What eyes don't see, heart don't breathe? You see the Tobago twang coming out on her? The Tobago twang. What heart no see, heart, eye no see, heart no grieve. Okay. So, and that's what I'm saying, that sometimes some of the questions that coming out, you ask, what is the currency? What is the value of the question of asking, did you like it? Why must you ask the person if they liked it? Why must you ask the person if they did oral and so on? I just find those things just digging up and not unnecessarily hurt and pain. The fact is, infidelity has taken place. Let's deal with that and let's try and mend from there. That's my personal opinion as far as that is concerned. All right. So, and thank you for letting us know that we missed out on the YouTube, the YouTubers. All right. The third thing to avoid, my dear people, is not taking full responsibility for cheating. Taking your own personal full responsibility for cheating. And I'm not saying that there may not have been things that took place in the relationship that may have triggered or driven you. But what I'm saying is, having been caught in infidelity, you can't deal with the other person. I think that it is, and I support Rick Reynolds again, that you just have to take responsibility for your role, your part. You have been unfaithful. You're in a stable relationship. You are with somebody, whether you are in an engaged relationship or in a marital relationship, and you've been caught. Take responsibility for it. Make your necessary apologies. Admit wrong, and be prepared for the consequences that ensue. But to now take and begin to blame the other person that they didn't give you the amount of sex you wanted, or they did not treat you nice, and so on. All of that may be true. I'm not going to deny that those may not be true, but this is not the time to shift the blame for what you have done. And Rick Reynolds is saying that's the mistake people make, that they reshift it from what they have done to what the other person has done, and that could be dealt with at another time in a different way. So take responsibility, right? And he says, just say, okay, you're right, I messed up, I deserve the fact that you're planning to leave. I wish you don't, but I know that I deserve that. Once you go with that kind of angle and you're not put in the situation where the person feels as though they have to defend themselves, you put yourself in a better negotiating position to salvage the relationship that you may have tarnished in some way. Right? Now, the question is, why did you do it? That's a big time question. Why did you cheat? I'm not too sure I've ever heard anybody come up with a good answer. I've heard people say, well, I don't know. I'm not too sure that is an acceptable answer to the other person. I've heard people say, well, it was just a point of my weakness. I'm not too sure that has been an answer that has been a good answer either, because the point is, would another point of weakness come up again? And if another point of weakness come up again, what would you do? Right. Yes, I see why we have been missing the YouTubers, because I'm seeing somebody on YouTube now saying, I believe there's a deep void cheaters are trying to fill. Yes, everything that we do really is trying to fill some void in situations like this. That's Deanne Robinson stating that. Joan said, apologize, amend the situation, and if there is love in the relationship, the person would forgive and move on. Apologize and amend the situation, says Joan. And the apology must come first, not defense, not trying to argue with the person, not trying to browbeat the person. And one of the things Rick Reynolds did say is that you ask for forgiveness. You do not tell the person to forgive you because of the fact that you say you're sorry. Some people, because they say they're sorry, make demands that you have to forgive me. I apologize already. Why are you still carrying on? I say sorry. Why is it you're still holding against it? So that is not a request. That is demanding forgiveness. I'm not too sure that is going to translate too well in your behalf. Madam, also, make it a request. I'm asking your forgiveness for the terrible hurt I brought on you because of this unfaithful situation. Right? So thank you, Joan, for that. One of the other things, yes, the why question, I think, is what Joan is referring to here. Why did you cheat? Temptation. But who accepts that as an answer, even though? Temptation. So Temptation is something that is all around us. So if you have to give the answer that the reason why you cheated because you were tempted, isn't temptation going to come again tomorrow? Because especially in today's world, where nudity is the norm and the order of the day, in almost every aspect, you turn on TikTok and so on, and you turn on Facebook and so on. Let's say it is demand. Isn't temptation always going to be there? But also, women themselves are tempted. Don't fool your fat. Women suffer from the whole aspect of temptation themselves. Yes. Okay. I don't know why it seems to have lost. I've lost this thing on. Yeah. Okay. I lost something somewhere. Okay. So I am not seeing the chats anymore from those people on Facebook. After refresh the page. Okay. Let's see how that is done now. All right. So in the meanwhile, share your thoughts on the discussion that we are having. And I hope that you are learning, gaining in some way. Okay. Yeah, sure Facebook hasn't taken us off, my boy. Oh, we had some problem there. Okay. Okay. But I'm only seeing the YouTube part of it. So I'm not able to see the chats from people on the. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one. Things to avoid if you are caught cheating. This is, I think, is the fourth one. Living life as normal, as though nothing happened after you've caught cheating. You all discussed it one day, yes. He was hurt, she was hurt, vice versa. Whosoever it is was the victim of it or the innocent party in it felt hurt. But your life just continue normal. You still doing everything normal, going about your life. You don't seem to have recognized that somebody is left in pain. So you playing tough. You're playing as though, well, you're not going to let this bother you and you're moving on. I'm not too sure that that really works. I don't think I've ever seen it work. And from Rick Reynolds, the gentleman who has done this study, doesn't seem to think that it works either. So picking up and just leaving and disappearing down the road and not saying where you're going now and coming back home whatever time without saying anything. And I don't want you to think that it's only the men cheating. Women also cheat in large numbers. But you don't operate as though nothing has happened. There must be some changes because the person is going to be suspicious. That phone call, that late night ping from your phone is going to cause the person to be apprehensive that it might be the person that they're having the problem with is messaging you. So therefore, you can't just not take that on board as something that is serious. So changes need to be made in order to give your spouse the assurance that you are taking full responsibility. Make some adjustments in your life. Sometimes it might mean going out fewer occasions or events. It may mean taking your spouse more often to some of these events, just to bring things back to a sense of civility. And it also may help you all in mending together, bonding together, which might have been something that was missing previously. So let's go on to the fifth reason. Yep. I'm really sorry that I'm not seeing the discussions on Facebook. Right? But we'll have to depend on YouTube. Joan Pierre says sometimes you put in a situation as a woman, some people are weak. Yes. Yes, some people are weak, and sometimes the situation is created that makes it difficult for you to extricate yourself from it. All right. So Joan Pierre is saying something is happening with Facebook, and I figure it is because um, of the songs that we played. All right. All right. So those on YouTube, if you wish, the live is back up on Facebook. So let's go there. Yeah. So probably I need to go back to your label Facebook, and I may need to go back to the label Facebook. Yeah. Okay. I'm not even seeing it there. I'm not even seeing it on Facebook, my boy. On your Facebook. Right. Can you share it on my page? Okay. All right. So, Joan says, avoid the discussions after you settle the matter. You cause more pain. Avoid those walk away phone calls. And I suspect you means by the phone calls that when you get, you go down low in your tone and you go in a corner to take the phone call. If you really have nothing to hide, if it's your boss, if it's your co-worker, if it is something that's legitimate, sit down there and take a call. You've been in trouble already. You see, and that's what Joan is saying. Don't take those walk away phone calls. The private conversation away from your spouse or significant other, right? So, just come up front and take it, and that sounds legitimate. That sounds reasonable. You've been caught. How do you think your spouse is going to take it when you are now taking a call and you have to walk off to take that call in private? Do you think that they would not make a connection to the unfaithfulness and the privacy of this call? Now, you may have a legitimate private call, but some things I think you have jettisoned out of your own rights and responsibilities or privileges because of unfaithfulness. And there are something that you just have to give up because you have been unfaithful, and a privilege that you may have had that you could have laid claim to. You just now have to give it up if you want this relationship to work. You see? And part of that is that, sometimes you hear a man say that he's a taxi driver. He's been found that the woman who has been in the front seat of his taxi was not a passenger. He found out that it is caught red-handed that the person is the lover of the taxi driver, who is the husband or boyfriend of somebody else. And sometimes I will hear people claim that I'm not giving up a affair, not affair, not AFFAIR. He's not giving up FARE. He's not giving up the money from a member of the public just because his spouse has a problem, the fact that he had an affair. He say, no, nothing is going on now, but I run in taxi and they hiring me to come and pick them up. I think that is something that, my respectful view, I think that is something that you just have to tell yourself, I've given up that privilege. I give up that because I lost it because of the mistake that I made, of the mistake that you made. You can't make claim for that and make demand. Are you really going to hold on to $2 extra? and wreck your whole relationship and family life because of that? No, I ain't think so. All right. All right. All right. I see that I was tagged now. Let me see if I'm back up now. But I think that somebody may need to message me, the people who are messaging on the chat. Okay. So we're down to number 5, I think it is, where people live normal as though nothing has happened. And we say no, that can't be. So let's go to number 5. Things to avoid if you are caught cheating. Do not defend the person you had the affair with. Do not defend the person that you had the affair with. And what Rick, I think, is saying here is this, that sometimes the person champions why they need to continue, or why this person needs to still be in my space, or still be your friend, or champion how good the person has been to you. But that gives your spouse the impression that you are making more of a defense for the person, their privilege to be with you or in the situation, than you are doing for your legitimate partner. You are more loyal to that person than to them. The fact that you are arguing for them, technically you are arguing against your spouse. And Rick says, don't you ever do that. Don't you ever do that. Because that is going to come across as being disloyal and create more anger than anything else. Let's go to number 6. Joan says a reasonable side chick. Well, I wonder if there is such a thing as a reasonable side chick. A reasonable side chick would sit in the back seat when the spouse is present. Okay, I see what you mean. They'll just excuse themselves and sit at the back. So the unreasonable side chick, I suspect, is going to sit in the front. Okay. Number 6. When you're trying to avoid talking about it, this is what he's saying. This is something to avoid. Avoid talking about it. You get what I'm saying? Because of the fact that we said earlier on that, especially in women, they are going to raise the issue again. Because she would need time to readjust and trust you again, be emotionally connected to you, because sometimes the woman emotionally detach herself, disconnect from you. Yes, sex may be going on, but she may not be part of the process with her whole being in the sexual act because she's still hurting. So he's saying, try to avoid not talking about it. Right? So it is a matter of reassuring the person. I know you're still going through the pain. I know it's 2 weeks now that this has happened, and I know you're still going through the pain. And yes, I'm feeling for what you're going through. Reassure the person. Reassure the person. And as we said, put a limit onto it. Rick Reynolds says, which is something that I really don't subscribe to, that even if it's 20 times, 100 times, just keep going on. No, I think that what that is going to do is what Joan was talking about. It resurrects the pain and reinforces some of those issues and so on. There must be something that maybe make it, we must be able to cut off at some point in time. And that's why also people need the counseling to help them to work themselves through these things and to come back out of it. So I don't agree that it should be an indefinite discussion for the next 15, 20 years, just still raising these things. Because if that is so, depression has stepped in. And that could have its own new issues. Number 7, things to avoid when you're caught cheating. Avoid pointing out your mate's faults and failures. You don't do this. You don't talk to me nice. I don't like how you just clean the house. That's why you don't. I don't enjoy sex with you, and so on. Going into pointing out faults and mistakes and so on is not of value at that point in time after you have been found out. Here's why. It looks as though you're finding an excuse and you're finding a way to deflect the issue of what you have done onto the deficiency of the other person. So just take the responsibility and drop that. All right? Let me, because we have 3 more minutes, I'm going to give you 1 more. I know I said we would give you 7. Let me see what it is that is on YouTube. That is when you don't want to give it up. Lisa, blessed night, Lisa. Lisa, how are you doing? I haven't seen you for a long time. Lisa, David. Joan said if she clear the air, she dropping it and move on. Wow. Not too many women would say that. Lisa said the trust was broken, so you have to reassure the person that they are valuable. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that reassurance, I think, is owed to the person that you cheated on. You're not doing them a favor. They deserve to be told and to be reassured that they are secure and their relationship is secure. All right? And excuses for your bad behavior. Yes, don't put the blame on the other person. Victim blaming, it is referred to. All right? So keep that in mind. All right, so let me go to 1 more. I told you I would only give you 7, but let me give you 8, seeing that we still have some time. Rick is saying, avoid getting to the point where you are sharing to the friends and family a side of the relationship to make people side with you for doing what you did. By creating a blame, letting the other person look bad, and spinning it in such a way that you look as even with being unfaithful, that you are the nice person given all the other good things that you have been doing. Look, I come back to she. Look, I come back to him, and so on. But you have been doing all of the things, and you're trying to let people feel sorry for you. Never do that. Take the blame as it comes, whichever it is, whether you are the man or you are the woman. So they are the 8. They are the 8 people. Let me just run it through quickly for those who joined us late. And as I said, this is really a study from a gentleman, Rick Reynolds, sorry. And Rick says, number 1, avoid things to avoid when you're caught cheating. Avoid the breakup makeup cycle. Every time you go, you come back. You go, you come back. You start, me and the person finish, and then you start back again. Secondly, avoid holding back the whole truth, which means come clean. 3, avoid this whole aspect where you do not take responsibility, personal responsibility for your part of the issue. Number 4, Avoid living life as normal, as though nothing happened. The other party is in pain. You cannot ignore that. You've got to acknowledge that, and you've got to make some adjustments in your life. Some of the things that you were doing, some of the things that you felt you were doing that was looking innocent, that they thought was innocent, and then they found out those were some of the things you were doing to find an excuse. You're working late, you say, right? But they found out that you weren't working late. You were by your friends playing games, but you weren't by your friends playing games, right? And I'm talking about both men and women. But now you've been caught. If you're going to work late, give good reason and evidence why this is work late this time. Because remember now, they don't believe you. Number 5, do not defend the person that you had the affair with. That is going to look disloyal to your spouse. Don't jump in there and talk on their behalf. Number 6, try to avoid talking about try to avoid when the person wants to talk about it further, that you say, listen, I don't want to hear. We talk about this already. I don't want to hear anything else. So try to avoid that. Sit down and talk about it. But of course, don't let this be infinitum. Let it have some point in time that we would have spoken about this enough, have explained enough, and you have gotten enough. Don't let it now spiral into a whole issue that makes you just become almost dependent to hear the painful things all over again, because that is what sustains you. Number 7, avoid pointing out your partner's faults as justification for what you did. Don't do that. And then I give you an 8th one as a lanyard. Avoid trying to make your friends and family be on your side and sympathetic to what you're doing, knowing what you've done. All right, so we have the poll. Let's give the results of the poll. Lisa said there is a no to include other people in the conflict, which is already a crisis. Absolutely. Do you believe cheaters spoil their chances of being forgiven? 85% of you said yes. 15% said no. And I go with the 85%. Cheaters often spoil their own chances of being forgiven by doing some things that they should not be doing. As we said, if you're looking for counseling, if you want to be able to sit down and to get help with some of the challenges that you're going through, give us a call. With my company, 868. It's called Communication Consultants Jamaica Limited. So you can call 868-688-5363 and book your time. Or if you, and we do virtual counseling, you can go to the website www.michaelatstewart. Just go to the website and you can book online and pay online. All right. Joan says crisis situation caused to be on high blood pressure medication now. Yeah, that's why I move on after the discussion. I am talking from experience. All right. Well, let's see. Tell him. Don't keep that running forever. That discussion running. It's not in anybody's interest. This brings us down to the end of today's program, Mike at Night. We are now at 8 o'clock, people. Yes? So try and log us on early. Don't come on late because you will miss so much if you log on late. I want to say thank you so much to our competent and capable director, Mr. Sidney Jones, for bringing us through another show again. Thank you very much. And listen out for us for another interesting program on Mike at Night next week, Thursday, 8 o'clock, right here. We are both on YouTube and LABL, that is label. And we are also here on my Facebook page and also label Facebook page. You can't miss us. Enjoy it now. This is Mike at Night, and I am Michael Stewart. Have yourself a wonderful week.
Let the weather of the day dictate your pace. I stayed cool every time I got into my vehicle, and you can too. At Tow School Center of 31 Gaskin Bay Road, Bonaccord, they specialize in auto air conditioning with parts and services catering to your car's needs. Call and ask for tows at 660-8777 or 788-3535. Tow School Center, where a comfortable ride is a cool ride.
Hey, if you are having difficulty in your marriage or in your relationship and you need someone to speak with privately and confidentially, then call me, Michael Stewart. We can do face-to-face or virtually any part of the world. If your relationship is worth saving, call 868-688-5363 or go to my website www.michaeletstewart.com. Don't wait until it's too late. Get counseling.